And welcome once again to our webinar. Nursing Education and Training Australia conducts most of the time a weekly or a fortnightly webinar to give information to everyone who's seeking to register as a nurse here in Australia, and we do conduct that. So keep an eye on our webinars and also our free CPDs, because we also do help you with that as well. So my name is Carissa. I am one of the nurse educators, and I'm also the lead educator for Nursing Education and Training Australia. Today, we will be discussing about your OSCE RN preparation and how are you going to come here in Australia. If this is you, this will be very valuable to you. So we do have some ways for you to be able to come here as smoothly as possible, and also as probably a very good transition as possible. I myself is an overseas registered nurse, and I know how much would be the struggle coming here, specifically knowing the process. And by the time that you finish the process, what is the next step? So these are the things that we'll be discussing today. And also the visa. How are you going to apply for your visa? We do have students already who did apply for the visa, and they've been called by the immigration, asked for some documents and some checks. So we will be discussing that as well. All right, so let's talk about our intention for today. So I'm not sure if you've seen that first bit of my screen, because that is amazing view of the Sydney Harbour. So the Sydney Harbour, by the way, guys, Sydney is one of the major cities in Australia. It is located in New South Wales. And it's got the biggest harbor, the biggest natural harbor in the world. So what you can see right now is a top view, and that's from an airplane, of the Sydney Opera House and also the Harbour Bridge. So if you can see where my mouse is pointing at the moment, that is Sydney Opera House, and that is the Harbour Bridge. And these are the iconic spots in Sydney. So we wish everybody of you to come here and pay a visit to Sydney and have a look at that iconic spot. And it's one of the famous spots in the world. So our intention for today is to discuss the steps for attending the OSCE RN training package, and also to discuss what happens next after your OSCE. So the steps for attending the OSCE RN training and taking your OSCE exam is a very probably we would say a simple process, but it's actually very new, not just to us, but also to everybody in the agencies and governing agencies in Australia. Because OSCE RN for overseas nurses has been, so it's been probably implemented in 2020, but it's only now in 2022 that it has come to life, where overseas nurses can now come to Australia. So that is a very good news. We will be here as well to discuss what happens next after your OSCE. I know that it is very easy to probably say, okay, I'll do my training, I'll prepare, and I'll take my exam. Then you pass. What happens next? I myself, as a registered nurse, before I'm trained in the Philippines, but when I finished my my program and then I was registered, the job seeking was quite challenging for me, specifically for visa purposes. Because I wanted to upgrade my my career my career pathway. I wanted to be a registered nurse in Australia, but then where can I get the job? I think that's quite challenging for overseas nurses. And here we are at NETA. We do things differently. So we are here as well to help you with your job. What NETA has in store for you to make the process smooth and hassle-free. So we will also be discussing that today. We will also discuss about your pathway, your visa, how do you apply, what are the things that you will need when you want to apply for your visa, and what are the things that you probably would encounter during the application. So we'll also talk about that. raise your hand if you're looking into coming to Australia within the year. Probably not raise your hand, probably a chat as well. That's fine. Whoever wants. Yep, Anna, I can see you've raised your hand. So that's a goal for you. Tanya as well wants to come. Sarah wants to be here next June. So beautiful. So I can see as well others raising their hands. Fantastic. Samiksha, very good. So very good, guys. So I think it's a very good and it's one big step, one big goal for us to be able to be here in Australia within this year. So if there are any processes, any information that we will not be covering today and we can't cover in our question and answer, please feel free to message us in our Facebook Messenger. I think our Facebook Messenger is very active because I know that majority of our participants today got us from Facebook. So before we begin, just a very quick introduction about NETA. So NETA is renowned for doing things differently and firstly. So I am very proud to be part of that organization where we do things very differently. So we don't only prepare you to become registered nurses, we help you throughout the process. So we give you free assistance when it comes to your inquiries, about your application as a registered nurse, so as up to when you become a registered nurse, not just for the job, we also support you up to the first year of your job. And if you want to continue that support, that's also available for you. We know how it is very important to have that kind of support during your transition phase when you become a registered nurse, because our goal for you is not just to become registered nurses. We want you to be the best RNs in Australia because we want to be renowned worldwide that overseas nurses are very knowledgeable and also very skillful. NETA is known to deliver the highest standard of training for the outcome-based assessment or OBA preparation. And I can attest to that because we have the highest numbers of passers for our, not just for NCLEX and for our OSCE, but for the whole outcome-based assessment process. We, at the moment, have produced more than 40 RNs, and majority of them have already been employed as registered nurses. Some of them are waiting for the registration, took their exam, and I think that's another question. Am I going to take my exam first before my application? Things like that. We'll be discussing that as well if we would have time. But yes, there would be some delays for your registration if you don't take your exam as well as soon as possible. All right, NETA has made its name to have the highest number of successful overseas nurses doing the OBA. So again, the highest number of students, but we are not only into the number of students, we are really focused on results. So we really would like to highlight the successful ones. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, with results, we are very focused on that, and that we made one of our goals come true. We are interstate, so you can find us anywhere in Australia. We are delivering it in Queensland, Sunshine Coast or Brisbane. We are also delivering it in Adelaide. We deliver our OSCE in Sydney. We deliver it in Melbourne. And we're also on the goal of going global. So we will be doing some trainings in the Philippines and Nepal. Philippines, we are putting our goal for June and July 2022. So that's a few months to go. In Nepal, we'll be doing that in December and January. Our team is diverse when it comes to culture, for example. So we have people from different cultures of the world, and majority of us are international nurses. You probably could see as well in the background of that photo that we are very diverse when it comes to nationality. So we are we're from different countries of the world. I myself, I'm from the Philippines, as I said. We have diverse experience and qualification. And the reason why I want to highlight that is because the educators that will be training you will not just be specialized in one area. That means you can get a lot of ideas, a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills from different areas in nursing. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Your first question, where do I start? So My question back to you is, what is your goal? What is your situation at the moment? I know that majority of I think 100% of us are overseas at the moment, or are looking into what type of visa will you be getting next. So let's check about your goal. What is your goal? Would you like to come here as soon as possible to be able to take your test? Or would you rather sit down, wait, see how the process is, and wait for a while? Or maybe your situation is you can't wait to upgrade your skill and you want to become you want to have your master's in nursing while you're also doing your registration. Or maybe you want to have some postgraduate studies of, say, acute care education while you are also doing your OSCE process. Or some others would like to also venture into a different specialty. Some others would like to try aged care. Some others would like to try mental health. Some others would also like to try childcare, for example, while waiting for the registration. So it really would depend on your situation. If it's me and I'm overseas and my goal is to become a registered nurse and I don't want to upgrade any of my qualification, then probably where do you start is to apply straight away to APRA. And I know that you've done that. And also do your OSCE. Take the OBA pathway as quickly as possible and become a registered nurse. So your best pathway, probably, where do you start, is now that you've started, what do you do next is probably to come here as soon as possible, as soon as you get your visa, to be able to take your exam. There are other people who probably would say that, oh, you know what, not just to become a registered nurse, I want to really upgrade my qualification. I want to become a clinical nurse specialist in the future. So I want to have more qualifications. So maybe you're thinking about a postgraduate study, for example. So while you're doing your study, you can also upgrade. So maybe you want to become a student as well in Australia. So that's something as well that we can look into. And another thing is, what is more important to you? Some of you probably would have a family back home, and you probably would say, my family is really important. I don't want to leave them until I settle everything in Australia. So what I really want to do now is probably I'll go to Australia, take my OSCE, and then come back straight away and wait for my registration and get Netta to help me with the job. And then I come back when I get my job and when I get my sponsorship. That could be one of the answers. And how much is your budget? So the very important question here is, do we have money to fund ourselves? If you'd like to study and upgrade your qualification, would you have money to do that? Because obviously when you're paying your tuition fee and when you're paying for your cost of living for X amount of years, according to how long is your study, would you have enough money to do that? Or what's your budget like? Would you like to go to the lowest cost and be a registered nurse? And probably in the future, when you have enough savings, that's probably the time that you want to upgrade your qualification as well. So it depends on those things. So in NETA, what we help students with is to give you the pathway that really will get you to become a registered nurse. So that means that we will give you the pathway where we want you to come here as a business tourist because you need to take your exam. Okay, so step one is, if you are already in your OSCE stage, you probably would have received your eligibility letter from APRA. So if you have received your eligibility letter from APRA, that is one step. You're one step ahead of your OSCE. That is good. This eligibility letter is very important for you to be able to apply for your visa, because this is a supporting documentation to tell the Department of Home Affairs, they're now called Home Affairs, they used to be Department of Immigration. So to tell the Department of Home Affairs that, hey, I've been invited by APRA to take the exam. Much more if you have a letter of your enrollment from NETA to tell the immigration that I'm not only coming there for my exam, I've got another business to do, which means that I'm also going to take my training with NETA. So we do provide this to our students for you to have two strong documents when you apply for your visa. So number one is when you pay for your OSCE fee to APRA, they will issue you your eligibility letter. That's one strong document that you can present to the immigration. And number two is your letter of enrollment for the OSCE with NETA. That is your second strong document that you can also present. So the image above in this screen, so the left side is a sample of an eligibility letter from APRA. That's from one of our students. And also the other one is a letterhead and also the subject from NETA. So you will be receiving this document as well from NETA. And as I said, these two strong documents will help and will support your application to be able to come here in Australia. That's your step one. So step one, pay your APRA pay your APRA OSCE fee, and your step two is enroll with NETA and get those two strong documents, and you can apply for your visa. The application of your visa will depend on your situation and also will depend on your goal and also will depend on your budget, as what we have spoken a while ago. The Department of Home Affairs will be the best agency that can advise you what kind of visa you will be applying. Our students who have applied for visa were advised to have the tourist visa subclass 600, and that is for a business stream. So if you would like to do that, this visa, number one, will let you stay in Australia for 3 months, but you may also be granted multiple entry depending on your plans, if you are able or if you want to come back to Australia. So that you could be granted multiple entry for 1 year. This visa can also let you do your business that you want to do in Australia, particularly the two things that you need to do here. Number one is to attend your training with NETA, and number two is for you to take your exam. You can also tour around with this visa because this is a tourist visa. So if you have enough time, you can visit Australia as well and have a look at the wonderful places in Australia. So this visa will not allow you to work as paid worker and will not allow you to study for more than 3 months as well. Step 3 is that you notify APRA of your visa grant. So once you apply for your visa, then you notify APRA of the visa grant. It says there that 90%, 75% of the visa are actually processed within 9 months, which means that if you want to do it within this year, you need to do this now. We do have students who have applied for their visa. They've had phone calls from Department of the High Commission of their country, or they've got phone calls as well from the Department of Home Affairs, telling them, asking them about OSCE, asking them about what it is, and what does it do to you, and what will it make you, things like that. So they're actually in the process already of processing this visa. So when it comes to the time frame of the visa, if you really want to do it this year, because there are certain process, unfortunately, we can't get everything in one snap. And how I wish we can just do that. Abracadabra, we get our visa straight away. Unfortunately, we can't do that. There is a certain process. So if there is a need for you to be here this year, then you need to go back to your step 1, which is to pay your APRA OSCE fee and enroll with NETA, get these 2 strong documents and apply now. Step 4 is once you tell APRA that you've got your visa, APRA will then give you a test date. How exciting. Then you will have a goal. When are you going to fly? And if you've got a test date you've confirmed, then you need to book your flight. How we miss booking flights. I know that COVID has taught us a lot of lessons in life, but it is very exciting to book your next flight, and that is your flight in Australia. So booking your flight is the next step. And I know that Australia has now opened its borders to the rest of the world. You just need to be fully vaccinated and do your PCR. Otherwise, if you don't have COVID on the day or 2 days prior to your flight, you'll be able to come and arrive in Australia. So we take care of you once you reach Australia. And we've featured Qantas here because it's the banner, the flag of Australian airlines, but it's the Queensland and Tasmanian Airlines. But this is, again, the beautiful harbour of Sydney. Australia has a lot of beautiful cities. This is the one of the best photos that I've got, so that's the reason why we've put it in there. But definitely, it's not just Sydney that's going to be your choice of where you want to stay or where you want to review in the future. So we have beautiful different cities as well that you can choose from, and we have the country of Wagga Wagga. I live in a country town, and our country here is as beautiful as wherever you're from. I'm from Cebu City in Philippines, and where I am living at the moment is just as it's the same. We have traffic lights, we've got movie house, we've got two big shopping centers. We do have roundabouts, we have parks and man-made beaches, and it's beautiful. The countryside is also very beautiful place to live with your for your family and your children as well. So yeah, that's your step 6. Arrive in Australia. We will take care of you from the time that you reach the airport until you fly back to your home country, and wait for your registration, get the job, come back here with a sponsorship visa. So I just need to summarize that steps. So the first one is you need to get your APRA eligibility letter, and that's when you pay your OSCE fee to APRA. And at the same time, hand in hand, you enroll with us, with NETA, and we will give you your letter of enrollment. And these 2 documents will be strong documents for you to be able to apply for your visa, which is then step 2. Once your visa is granted, you will then inform APRA of your visa grant. And once you've got your visa grant, you can then get your OSCE test date. That's your step 4. Once you've got your OSCE test date, there's no going back. You just have to book straight away. Book your flight and you arrive in Australia. We will take care of you from the time that you reach the airport up to the time that you go back to the airport. So there is a package for you to be able to do it all with NETA. So we want to welcome you this year in Australia. So we want you to get that goal ticked off. So I know that Tanya, Samiksha, Sarah raised their hands a while ago. They want to do it this year. So we will be doing that this year. So we have a package for you. This is hassle-free. And to those of our students who actually enrolled with us already, we will deduct this from your OSCE training. So don't worry, you won't be paying this on top of what you've paid already. So this 6,000 package will include your airport pickup. This will also include your accommodation very near to your training facility and very near to your test center. And this is 2 weeks of training for your OSCE RN. This is 10 full days. You will have probably 2 weekends that you can spend, enjoy, relax. And you also have the afternoon and the evening where you can relax and tour around the different places in Australia. Then we will take you to Adelaide. Once you're in Adelaide, we'll provide you 5 days of accommodation in Adelaide, very near to your testing center. So you don't have to worry about your transportation. You just have to relax, wait for your test date. And then once you're done with your test date, depending on your return flight, we will also schedule you for airport pickup for you to go back to the airport. So we have allocated this, rounded this off for $6,000. And this is the cheapest accommodation and airport pickup that we are arranging for you guys. definitely with a short stay, you probably would be better off with an accommodation that offers short stay, because we can't probably get enough documents for you to be able to live in long-term accommodations at the moment. So that $6,000 from arrival to departure, definitely there are some plans for you to be able to pay this. This is not one-off. There are students who actually pay their training fee first. And once they paid their training fee, they get the letter from us. And just before they do their OSCE training and face-to-face, they pay the rest of the fee. So if you would like to know more about the structure of the payment, please send us a message in Facebook Messenger. As I said, we won't monitor the chats after our webinar, so we would like to get in touch with you through Facebook Messenger. As I said a while ago, there is also another way for you to enter Australia, and that is if you want to upgrade your qualification. So say, for example, if you want to become a clinical nurse specialist, when you become registered nurse or a clinical nurse consultant, you need to have a different category, different level of your Australian qualification. So you can upgrade or you can study with different Australian institutes. So if that is something that you are thinking of, definitely that's something that we can help you with as well. So if you would like to come here as a student in a student visa, and again, it depends on your goal, it depends on your budget, it also depends on what is really important to you at this stage in your career. So if you'd like to do that, you can also contact us. We do have courses such as master's in business administration, because that is something that you can use if you want to become managers in the future, because you really need to manage the organization itself. There are other postgraduate studies that you can also look into, leadership and management as well, if you want to become a leader in the healthcare system. So that's also one way for you to upgrade your skill. And at the same time, on the side, you can also do your OSCE or your exam and your training with us. So another question probably would be, how do I apply for my tourist visa if that is something that you're looking into? So we just need to be clear here. Number one, we do not collect, so NETA does not collect any payment for sharing our knowledge about the tourist visa application. We are answering queries for free, and that is another support that we offer to our current students. And the knowledge that we have is based from the public website of the Department of Home Affairs. So whatever is written in the Home Affairs, we're there to reiterate that to the students, that is written in the Home Affairs website. We're there to explain that to the students, that this visa would be able to let you do your training in Australia, but it won't let you study for more than 3 months. So that's something that's accessible to the public, and also with our students' experience. So whatever our students are happy to share, and happy to share to others as well, because we're working all in a team. Everybody is with us together, because this is a very new process for everyone. Definitely that's something that we also share to you. So per our students' experience, these are the information that were needed during their application of their visa. And it might differ in your case. However, these came as a general information from our students. So you need to have your personal details, including your passport. So have your passport at the time of application. You need to have your contact details, both your mobile number and your email address. And you also have to have the reason for your visit to Australia. Definitely your visit to Australia is for you to take your examination and undertake a training for your OSCE. Then you will be required other government IDs if you have any. So that could probably be an identity card. If you have an identity card, if you don't have that, that's fine. Then your travel history to Australia. Have you traveled to Australia before? And it's a simple question. It's a simple answer, yes or no. For your intended travel, are you traveling with someone else? That is another question. Then there will be a question about your intended travel dates as well. and the information if you intend to travel again to Australia. So I think this is a very good question, because if you will say that, yes, I probably would travel again to Australia for this kind of reasons, the Department of Home Affairs may consider that, and they might give you multiple entry visa. However, if you don't have any intention to come back or to come here in Australia again, then you have to be honest with your answer as well. Then you are allowed to nominate an authorized recipient. So if you would like to get a service of a migration agent, definitely that's somewhere you will put them, or a close family member, for example. If you nominate an authorized recipient, there is another form that you need to fill out for an authorized recipient, and also your non-accompanying family unit. Other information that will be needed will be the details of NETA. If you will be undergoing the training with us, that is our contact details. You need to have our address, our training facility address, and our contact details, and also the details of APRA, which you can see in your eligibility letter. You also need your current work details if you have any. It's just a very good incentive because your purpose of coming in Australia is to take your exam. Therefore, you should not overstay in Australia. And therefore, you need to have some incentive for you to go back to your home country, which would be your current work details. And also if you've got some funds that you have just for the immigration to know that you're able to support yourself when you are here. Then you need to have your character declaration that you're not a criminal, you haven't killed anyone, you haven't violated anyone, you're not part of any of any movement, and you don't have any pending cases, for example. Any visa history, have you got any visa denied? Have you got any visa approved, and what are these sort of visa? And also your declaration that you are giving correct statement and making sure that you are providing true documentation. So that is part of your declaration. Then, because of all this information that they require, they need some evidence to support your statements. So these are the summary of supporting evidence. So number one would be your personal documents. So these should be all certified copies. And the certification of document, there is a certain rule for that as well that can be found in the immigration website. So you may be asked, and the reason why I'm putting may, because again, it is a case-to-case basis, and this is just based on the experience of our students applying for the visa. So number one is your passport. Number two is your birth certificate and other IDs that you have declared. Then you also need to have a proof that you are going back to your home country, because this is a tourist visa. So the purpose of coming here is for business, and you need to go back to your home country. So number one would be your employment certificate, because definitely you need to go back to work, or you probably, if you have some properties in your home country that you need to manage. If you have ongoing studies back home, that's also something that you need to go back to. And if you've got some dependent family members, specifically if you are married with children, so maybe that is a good incentive for you to go back to your home country. More likely your visa will be granted because they know that you're coming temporarily in Australia and you are going back. You need to have the proof of business or activity undertakings in Australia. What are you going to do here? And I think I've said this several times, that it's going to be those two strong documents, which will be your APRA eligibility letter and the letter from NETA confirming your enrollment for the training. And also, the immigration would like to know that you're able to sustain and fund yourself while you're in Australia. They don't want you to come here, be here, get hungry, and don't know what to do for your next step. So obviously they would need your bank certificate, and the bank certificate and the balance there would depend on the number of days that you will be staying in Australia. So say, for example, we have put your accommodation to $150 per day. With probably, you can say $50 with your food, so that's $200 per day, and some leisure activities, which you can probably add another $100 as well per day. So maybe you have to look into having $300 per day in your bank account. So if you're coming here for, say, for 10 days. So make sure you have about $3,000 in there. And then you probably would have a letter from a family member that states that their supports. If you've got a family member or somebody from your family unit, probably, who would say that they've got a house here and they're willing to support your accommodation, or they're willing to support your say food, your travel, for example. So that would also be good if they can write down a letter. If you need a letter draft, we do have that in Netta. So yeah, feel free to reach out and ask for the draft of that letter for your family member if they are here to support you. The next one would be the proof of source of funds. So obviously, the Australian government doesn't want to know that you've stole the money, got the money from somewhere in one day, and then you return it back the next day. So there should be some proof where you got the funds, and that could be from your employment, or that could be given as a gift, for example, or that could be from your sponsor, for example, so that they can show their proof that they're working at the moment. Their payslip, for example, could also be one. You may be required to undergo a medical examination. So we do have students who were asked to undergo a medical examination just because of the word clinical of the OSCE. So they were also advised to do a medical examination. You will be required to attend to an immigration office or embassy or consulate or high commission or wherever is nearest to your place to do your biometrics, to check for your identity, that you are the one who's actually applying for the visa. That is all. It's very easy. So again, I just want to reiterate the steps for you guys, because I think we made this really simple for you. So I know that all of us are overseas are trying to check what kind of visa would suit us for our OSCE. So this is based from the website available to the public, from the immigration website, and also from the experiences of our students. So step one, enroll with NETA and pay your eligibility to APRA, and that will give you 2 strong documents for you to be able to apply for your visa. Inform APRA of your visa grant for you to be able to obtain your test date, then book for your flight, arrive in Australia, and we will take care of you from the time that you land until the time that you go back. And of course, we will give you the training and also make sure that we support you on your test date. So that is what NETA is here for. We were discussing, by the way, about the what happens next. So another wing of NETA is NETA recruitment, and we are very pleased to let our students know that we give free CPDs to our students who pass OSCE regarding the next step that they will take, and that is for job application. So we do help you set a very good professional branding of yourself so that you are a strong candidate when you go to the facility, wherever you will be applying. That's number one. Number two, if you need sponsorship, we do have facilities as well that also helps us with sponsorship. So tap into us if that's something that you will need. As I said, we do help you with sponsorship, and that's going to be in regional areas. And the sponsorship probably would run for 2 to 4 years, depending on your goal as well. But mind you, we do know of people who's been here in the regional areas for ages. They said, oh, I'll stay in the regional area, I'll close my eyes. It's just 2 years of sponsorship. I can go anywhere. Mind you, they're still here. It's been 11, 12, 13 years already. That's when I came here. Actually, it's about 15 years ago. So the regional area is beautiful. And if you really love to be in the coast, we do have regional areas in the coast as well. Something for you to think about. But if you really need that job to start and keep going, bring your family, have the work-life balance, free education, and free healthcare for your family. When you get your permanent residency, I will tell you to just take that opportunity, and it will lead you to places where you've never seen before. All right, so questions. Thank you very much, guys, for using the chat box, but also thank you for using the question and answer button. So let's start with the questions. Happy for you to type all your questions in the chat box. Okay, so let's start with a question and answer. Sarah, you've asked for what is OSCE. So OSCE is Objective Structured Clinical Examination. And APRA is the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency. So APRA is a governing body for 14 different bodies in Australia. So nursing and midwifery belongs to that 14 professions. So Nursing and Midwifery Board of Australia goes under APRA. And for you to be able to become a registered nurse in Australia, you need to do an outcome-based assessment, and that's through a self-check. So if you are in Singapore and you have been trained in Singapore, we invite you to send us a message in our Facebook account, because it differs from different nationalities. So if you send us a message through Netta OBA, I'll just quickly show you our profile, so you will be able to, if you're not friends there yet, add us as a friend, and we will communicate with you. We'll give you the steps on how to do your first step. You may not be required to do the OSCE, which is the exam, and we've got two types of exam, NCLEX and OSCE. You may not be able to you may not, sorry, I'm just figuring out my words. You probably will not be required to do these two exams. So send us a message and we will help you start. Netta does the preparation for these two exams, but if you're not required to do those exams, we're happy to help you as well. So yeah, send us a message. Does this apply to Singaporeans? So that's another answer. And I think I did, yeah, I did answer that question. Then we've got another question here. How can I enter travel details until or unless the exam date isn't allocated to me? Tanya, as what APRA said in your eligibility letter, and I think I probably can read that, because let's go back to the sample eligibility letter if we can find that information. Okay, so it says here, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it says here, candidates who are located internationally will only be allocated a spot to sit the OSCE if they have provided proof of a valid visa at least 3 months before the scheduled RN OSCE test dates. So as per APRA, you need to apply for your visa first. And once you've got the test date, and once you've got the visa, that's the time that we'll give you the test date. So your visa is open for a year, and once you've got your visa valid for 3 months, definitely APRA will give you the test date. And I hope I answered that question. All right, any other questions, guys? We do have people raising their hands. So I think Tanya was raising her hand because she was asking some, yeah, you were asking a question, or probably you wanted to come this year. Any other questions from the group? We are happy also to answer your questions. If you would like to send us a friend request in our Facebook page and we can talk there, that's fine. We've got another question that came in from Ivan. How long is APRA eligibility letter valid? So in the eligibility letter, it doesn't say anything there, but it just says that you are eligible to take the OSCE. So say, for example, if you don't feel like taking your OSCE at the moment, you probably would consider the 3 months process. I mean, the 3 months validity of that, because so in Australia, whatever is more than 3 months is not recent or current anymore when it comes to documents. So maybe that's one thing that you need to consider. Otherwise, we are happy for you to contact APRA and just check with them. They haven't put any validity of the eligibility letter. But mind you, there are so many overseas students at the moment that's waiting to be here or to come here in Australia. And even if, say, for example, you don't want to apply for your test date now, the tendency is you might not be able to get your test date until whenever. So what we really suggest is for you to apply for, if you've got your eligibility letter, apply for your visa. There probably would be about 6 to 9 months process as indicated in the website. That's number one. when you get your test date, you have, so if you've read the upper handbook, when you get your test date, you also have the chance to actually decline that test date and choose another one for the next test. So you have the opportunity to move your test date. So that is also fine. The embassy asked for travel itinerary. How can I fill in my travel plans? I don't know yet when will be the exam date. So what we've put for what our students actually did put is the training of NETA. So we do have our schedule of our training. So we put that there. So these are tentative dates. And also we put tentative date or expected date of examination. So it doesn't really have to be specific, because what we will put there will be very technical, and we can just say that it is a tentative date. So we don't say that, this is the exact date. It's tentative date. So and your plan as to when you want to take the exam. So that's something that you can look for. Travel itinerary wise, if you would also like to ask for a draft for that, and we do have some students who actually did apply already, and we can ask them if they're happy to share the sample or the template of their itinerary. So message us in Facebook, and probably we can source out one for you. So I hope I answered the question of Tanya. Ivan, thanks. You are very welcome. So guys, if you do have further questions, we would love to connect with you. So stay connected. Give us a call or send us a message. Our Facebook page is active, and we do answer queries there as well. So you could either message us in NETA OBA, that is our Facebook, but also we've got a page, Nursing Education and Training Australia. So if you do want to ask us questions there after this webinar, if you have some reflections, some queries, some thoughts, some comments, feel free to write them down. Do I need to book the flight ticket for the visa sake? No. So you don't need to have your your flights booked at that stage, because you can only book your flight once you've got a valid visa. We don't want to waste your money. Most of the flights at the moment are actually refundable or rebookable, but that's something that we don't want you to risk at the moment. So your proof of travel would be those two strong documents, which would be your APRA eligibility letter and your training letter from NETA. So I think it's clearly written in the immigration website that, number one, you do not need to quit your job because you have applied for a visa. So please don't do that. And number two, you do not need to book your tickets and your accommodation until you get your visa. So hope that's clear. Thanks a lot, ma'am. You're welcome, Tanya. Happy to help. All right, guys. So thank you very much. If there are no further questions, it's very good to be able to shed information and shed light to your travel plans. So please don't hesitate to contact us. Tanya, we would love you to send us a message in Facebook, and we will source out a draft for your itinerary. That would be something that we can do for you. Thanks so much, guys. You all have a wonderful afternoon in Australia, and wherever are you in the different parts of the world. You all have a good day. Oh, sorry, there's Anna. Are all applying tourist visa requires medical exam? So far, to those who did apply for the tourist visa, because of the term OSCE, the objective structured clinical examination, they are requiring for a medical exam. If you can prove that you will not be going to any clinical environment, probably you will be able to not sorry, you'll probably not be able to do that. The thing is, and I'm just looking into the future, because you will be a registered nurse in the future and you will be applying for a job in the future, it is better as well to have your medical exam done as early as that, so you don't have to do your medical exam in the future. All right. So you are very welcome, Tanya. And thank you guys to whoever is here today. Thank you very much for all your listening ears. Till we meet again, please keep in touch, because we will be doing some other information session that may be valuable to you. All the best. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Anna. Bye.